Tom Fisher says, he has a question about supplements. He says, "Hi, Raf. Here's a question you may be able to answer. It's about supplements for the body. What I want to know is, if you're taking supplements and your body naturally produces what you're boosting, e.g. creatine or collagen or zinc, does the body stop producing the regular amounts as it responds to what's being provided? The body is smart and would learn to be lazy when allowed. Any research to back this?" Well, Tom, I can't directly answer your question because I don't have a deep enough knowledge of the nutrition science, but I can partially answer your question because I know how to look things up. So I did a bit of research into both creatine and collagen supplementation. I didn't get to zinc, but for creatine and collagen, what I found is there's a very comprehensive literature on creatine supplementation. It goes back about a quarter of a decade, and there's a pretty high quality literature in there. And what we've found, is that if you take about 3 to 5 grams of creatine per day, it significantly enhances your ability to recover from high intensity exercise. It enhances your what's called power endurance. So basically, if you do a maximal kind of sprint on a cycle for 30 seconds and then have a 2-minute break and then go again, the second time and the third time and the fourth time you go, generally you'll be less and less and less powerful, less speed on the pedals. If you've been taking creatine supplementation for 4 weeks before you do the test, your endurance will be retained much better. So your power endurance will be much better. Your second and third and fourth trials, you'll be much closer to the amount of power that you output on trial number 1. And it probably enhances your ability to recover from high intensity resistance training and thus to train harder and get more benefit. So it's pretty uncontroversial, I think, to say that creatine supplementation will enhance probably maximal strength training and certainly power training for athletes. And that's at about 3 to 5 grams per day, which you think about like a teaspoon is about 6 grams. So, kind of a non-heaped teaspoon of creatine monohydrate, and it is a legal supplement in just about every professional and amateur athletics and sporting association. So if you're a powerlifter or mixed martial artist or whatever, it's generally within your association. It's most likely legal, although check that with your association. So that's creatine. Now, creatine is something that's naturally produced in your muscle cells. But what we do when we take supplement is we basically increase the concentration. So you end up having more in your muscle cell as a result of supplementation. It takes at least a few weeks, though, to build up. You can take a much bigger dose. So you can take like 20 grams a day for 1 week and then get the same effect. But then the maintenance dose is about 3 to 5 grams a day, according to most studies. So that's creatine. If it's your goal to increase maximum strength or particularly power, which is basically strength applied quickly, then I would say creatine supplementation is pretty much a no-brainer. It's been, like I said, it's got a 25-year history in the research, so and no, adverse side effects have been discovered. There is, some anecdotal evidence that people experience muscle cramping and things, and I experience that myself from whenever I'm on creatine, I get some muscle cramps. It's more of a kind of like annoyance rather than, anything else. And I pretty much consider it a small price to pay for the increased performance and recovery that comes from creatine. So, yeah, hope that helps. Now, as to collagen, this was an interesting one. So collagen is a protein, and it is the protein that makes up the vast majority of your non-muscle non-fat weight. So, all of your ligaments and tendons and fascia, connective tissue are made predominantly of collagen. And even within your muscle tissue, there is quite a bit of collagen that is, the kind of this forms the structural elements of the muscle, the bits that sort of like form the skeleton, as it were, of the scaffolding of the muscle. And so you use collagen in your skin, like right throughout your body. And so that's the reason for the interest, I think, in collagen recently. But here's the thing. Whole proteins can't pass through the walls of your digestive tract. So proteins are made up proteins are molecules that are made up of long chains of smaller molecules called amino acids. And in our gut, when you ingest, when you eat or drink protein, you break it down inside your gut into its component amino acids, and the amino acids pass then through the wall of your gut into your bloodstream. And the reason we do that is because to avoid activating our immune system. So basically our immune system recognizes invaders, viruses or bacteria, by the proteins that are stuck in the cell walls of these, viruses and bacteria. And so proteins, like when you have antibodies, you say you have an antibody to some, virus or something. Well, an antibody is simply a protein that has a complementary shape to the virus protein. And so basically if we allowed proteins to pass through our gut wall into our bloodstream, we would generate a violent immune response against those proteins because they would be perceived by your immune system as invaders, and you would get a massive immune response. So we don't allow whole proteins to pass through our gut wall. We only allow we break them down into their components, the amino acids, and each amino acid then passes through the gut wall. And then once they're inside our body, in our liver generally, or in our cells, whatever, we reassemble those amino acids into whatever protein we need, and largely collagen. Now, so from a theoretical standpoint, with my understanding of biochemistry, which admittedly is not terribly profound, it didn't make sense then that collagen supplementation would be any different to supplementing with any other protein, because if you ingest it as collagen, once the process of digestion actually makes it into not collagen. You break it down into its component amino acids. So all you get in your blood is a bunch of amino acids, regardless of whether you ate collagen or, whey protein, which is the common protein from egg whites. Whatever protein you eat, it ends up just as amino acids. So, to me, that didn't seem terribly plausible that collagen supplementation would have any benefit on anything relative to just eating the same amount of a different protein, because all you're going to get is a bunch of amino acids in your blood. But I was wrong. So the research on collagen is way less. It's way more recent, and it's much smaller body of research than the research on creatine. So I would say the research on collagen is probably nascent. It's just at the beginning, and it's probably too small a body of research to draw any strong conclusions. But there is some promising research. So basically all of the trials that I've found, and I found a couple of systematic reviews and meta-analyses, and all of them seem to find either no benefit or a benefit for both pain, like joint pain, osteoarthritis, and skin health. And so none of them have found that it makes it worse. and all of them find either no benefit or some benefit, and the majority of them find some benefit. So I would say it's early days. There's not been enough studies to really call it a settled matter yet, but the early indications are probably that collagen supplementation has some benefits beyond just eating enough protein. And most of these studies had a dose between 5 and 15 grams per day. The only thing I would say as a word of caution is because it's early days and there's not a lot of long-term literature in this, or there's not any long-term literature in this field that I found, side effects are unknown. And so, potential side effects might be, for example, like in issues with your kidneys. And I don't know if that's a thing or not, but I'm just saying that with a relatively emerging field of research, those are the things that are yet to be discovered. So, so collagen supplementation, does seem to probably be, something worth considering. Okay, now, of course, you shouldn't take nutritional advice from me because I'm not a nutritionist, and I mean that genuinely. So if you're considering taking collagen, and I don't know what your reasons are, if such is the case, go see a dietitian. Dietitians are awesome, and I see one, irregularly when I have a question about my diet and performance and whatever, and it's always well worth the time and money I spend. All right, I hope that helps.